Betrayal of Eden, a fantasy retelling of The Count of Monte Cristo, featuring two electric main characters, a tandem narrative, government intrigue, and a set of grimoires that control an illegal and dangerous magic. Indie authors have yet to fail me. Erin Phillips at Erin Phillips Author is yet another no-spice Christian author making her mark on the book world with clean and vibrant plots. The Betrayal of Eden is the first book in the Grimoire and Keys series. The second book's going to be releasing soon. Welcome to Freytag's Lab, where I review indie and traditionally published books for gripping stories, sensational characters, and clean romance, as well as post some of my own writing ventures. And let's be honest, I rant about books I enjoyed, and this is Spoiler City. For best results, skip to the end for the no-spoiler content info, and then come back for the plot and character discussion. Speaking of plot, always a good place to start. So, when Eden Fortin, I hope I'm saying that right, was a little girl, her mother suddenly died in the middle of the street. Now, years later, Eden lives in South Bout, the poor outskirts of Cartier City, and works as a teacher's aide at Cartier Royal Academy. The school is also attended by her sort of friend Fallon Riviere, who Eden's mother served as a nursemaid, as well as Miles Taillefer. I hope I'm saying that one right too. Her boyfriend and son of the wealthy government representative, not to mention the children of multiple other wealthy and politically imposing families. Eden hides her poverty, pretending to live in the affairs district, which is working class but better than dirt, and her goal is to climb into success and respect however she can. However, she makes enemies as she steps on the toes of her wealthy peers and attempts to invade their circle, resulting in her fall from grace. Meanwhile, we also have Hunter Calder. His father died after racking up a large amount of debt to complete a series of scientific experiments, leaving Hunter an indentured servant to Monsieur Riviere, the dishonest and manipulative lawyer who loaned the money. Hunter finds his father's life's work in Monsieur Riviere's briefcase, decodes the pages, and learns about a set of 10 grimoires and their respective keys, with which different magic spells could be performed, at a cost. But Hunter's discoveries also come at a cost. The stories intertwine as Eden and Hunter realize just how the existence of these grimoires impacted their lives. The characters section here will fill in some of the gaps in the summary section. First, Eden Fortin. She lives in South Bout and pretends to live in the affairs district so she gives off a better impression around her wealthy peers. Her story arc is characterized by an ever-growing series of lies and turning of blind eyes towards the frustration her peers display with her attempts to rise in the ranks and break into their aristocratic world. She lies to her father about where she's going, dishonestly passes off some of her new work duties to the peers she beat out for a promotion, and maintains lying to Miles about where she lives up until she gets exposed by the other girls. Eden's character arc is a descending character arc, or Icarus arc, characterized by a series of continuous growths and successes from a neutral or bad start, and concluded with a sudden fall from grace and moral descent. Next, Hunter Calder, the indentured slave. Hunter has his eyes open for any opportunity to garner his freedom, starting with a strange key hidden in a chest in Monsieur Riviere's wine cellar, and ending in the hands of Grandpère Urbain and Valentine, the oldest and youngest members of the wealthy Urbain family. The family also consists of Hunter's forceful crush, the oldest daughter Vivian, but that's another issue. Hunter is assigned by Monsieur Riviere to spy on the Urbain family while babysitting Valentine, but ends up getting caught in Valentine's desperate plea to protect her grandfather, and the grandfather's request to protect Valentine, the only one to whom he will leave any inheritance. Hunter's arc is a moral ascent arc. He starts in a place of neutrality or negativity and gradually, very gradually, begins to grow beyond the clouds of negativity with a hopeful goal or direction. Miles, we're not saying that last name anymore, Eden's boyfriend turned temporary fiancé, rubs you the wrong way from the get-go in a subtle manner. I just want to praise Erin Phillips for how perfectly she got his sort of character down. Anyway, Miles wants to take shots at his controlling mother by shaking off every design she makes for his life, including who he marries. Eden is a tool in his arsenal, and his use of her outweighs his love for her, and he moves on rather quickly in the end. Fallon Riviere, like father like daughter, considers Eden less of a friend and more of a mirror to bounce her own existence off of. While Eden thinks she is using Fallon, Fallon takes advantage of Eden's naivety, and when Eden's attempts to advance appear to be pointed towards success, Fallon exposes Eden's living situation to Miles and the others, and conceives the plot with the other noble youth to have Eden arrested. Monsieur Riviere is Fallon's father, if that isn't clear, and a dishonest and scummy lawyer. He took advantage of Monsieur Calder's naivety in considering loans a gift and indebted him deeply before having him killed. He also attempts to make a shady business agreement with Monsieur Urbain, thus why he assigned Hunter to dig up dirt on the Urbain family. When Hunter refuses to give up information his father coded regarding the grimoires, he has Hunter sent away so the young man can't tell anyone what he found out. Grandpère Urbain and Valentine I'm pairing together. Grandpère knows bits and pieces about the grimoires and Monsieur Calder's work, but his first priority is protecting Valentine, the only member of his family who isn't spoiled and, well, vaguely psychopathic. Valentine is concerned about threats on her grandfather's life. The two quietly begin to employ Hunter's assistance, and Grandpère Urbain nobly tries to buy Hunter's freedom, although it is too late. To sum up, grimoire magic and the antagonist's desire to use it indirectly or directly affect all the characters involved, and I want to make it clear that grimoire magic is forbidden, which is how all of this happens under the radar and no one really interferes. Outstanding plot moments. Well, most of them are. The plot is consistently interesting and Phillips made the most out of her expansive cast of characters, but I'll single out a few. First is the moment we meet the mean crew, in quotes, the popular kids who protect Eden for the novelty of being heroes, only to betray her in the end. It is such a well-developed, nasty group. I love how Phillips introduced Miles with the group. The foreshadowing of him arriving with a particular flock is just beautiful. Second, I loved Hunter's introduction to the story taking place while serving at a posh tea gathering for Monsieur Riviere and some of the other aristocrats. He felt extremely human, as did all of Phillips' characters, but the particular scenario for establishing the surrounding characters, not just Hunter, to portray the different political and upper-class social climates, was perfect. The different flavors of entitled aristocrat coupled with Hunter's justified pessimism created the perfect contrast between the airheaded world of the rich and the tormented world of the people they stomp on. Next was Hunter's relationship that developed with Grandpère and Valentine. It was unexpected in a positive and understated way, a breath of fresh air of sorts because they were a genuine presence. Introducing them was a much-needed break that makes space for impactful moments in the latter third of the story. Plus, they gave Hunter a secondary motivation aside from revenge, which expands on his humanity. Fourth is Eden's betrayal, which expanded beyond her being unjustly sent to prison. Aside from the people she foolishly trusted as friends breaking her trust, Miles very quickly moves on from his would-be fiancé and falls into Fallon's arms, literally. Both his and Fallon's two-faced, poor people are tools type of nature reaches its peak, and while not a surprise in the sense that it was uncharacteristic or unexpected, it does, in my opinion, strike the heart in a very special way because it clearly displays a negative aspect of human nature without any excess vulgarity or crudeness, just the naked, simple truth. The final point I'll touch on is Eden's actual imprisonment. This was the moment where I checked the back cover and was reminded it is, in fact, a Count of Monte Cristo retelling. A little detail I had forgotten because I ordered the book, then got busy, then started the book and got busy again. Anyway, this is where Eden crumbles into a mindset of desiring revenge, like Dante, and is given a light at the end of the tunnel by an old woman who facilitates her survival and means of escape. Honorable mention goes to Eden's relationship with her father, because what a wonderful guy. I love their father-daughter bond and the organic characterization, none of the artificial gee-whiz pop sort of stuff. I also wanted to comment on the characters' parallel arcs. While Eden is allowed to have the illusion of a chance, Hunter is the mirror of what she can and will become, jaded, damaged, and seeking justice or revenge, whichever comes first. While Hunter ascends, Eden degrades. Moving right along to major themes, we have the consequences of naivety, or rather, refusing to see what's right in front of you. Eden is given a few opportunities to climb the lifestyle ladder without major risk, such as genuinely putting herself all in with her new promotion. However, her desire to leap up socially in big, dramatic chunks while stepping on the toes of those who were already ahead resulted in backsliding to a position twice as bad as where she started. She didn't let herself see when kindness wasn't genuine, and allowed herself to rely on the, quote, generosity of the very people she was trying to rise above. Indebting herself to them, which only in hindsight she could see, was a very big mistake. Moral of the story, you only receive kindness from your enemies when they have more to gain from the experience than you. Hunter's father is another example of this same theme. He relied on the gifts of others to make his research happen and spent money he didn't have to reach an achievement. This turned out to be at the expense of his mortal life and his son's lived life. Monsieur Calder should have paid more careful attention to the kind of power those around him held when he no longer served their means. Also, don't indebt yourself to people. Bringing a brief touch of overt Christian perspective, in a perfect world, Eden should have been able to trust that kindness and support she was receiving were genuine. However, given the context, her naivety was just foolish because she was given, genuine opportunities. And beyond foolish, it was also born from her own selfishness and ego. She didn't just want to become more successful, she wanted to appear successful when she hadn't earned it and rise above the people around her. A little more humility and willingness to live within her means and accept a slower but more fruitful growth would have yielded better results. The fast track always results in a crash. The pacing in this story was phenomenal, not a word wasted. The development of both Eden's and Hunter's stories was well balanced, as well as the interweaving of the worlds of multiple characters. The slow reveal of both hints of underhandedness in some, as well as overt deceptiveness and malevolence in others, created a constantly shifting battlefield for Eden and Hunter. The final hit of Eden's imprisonment and subsequent escape, and Hunter's banishment on a ship bound for nowhere, keep intrigue and action flowing right up to the last page. Tie in a subtly intricate magic system that is well explained without drowning the characters and the reader in exposition, and you have a recipe for an incredible world. Obviously, with this book being part of a series, because I have a problem with starting series and then subjecting myself to waiting every painful moment for the release of the next part and praying that I'll have the free time to read it, the only unanswered questions are the ones that will obviously be answered in the next book. Now getting to that non-spoilery content part. As far as cursing, there is none. For drinking and drugs, some social drinking, nothing excessive. Hunter alludes that Madame Riviere once used a frowned-upon drug in context likely to deal with stress, and an elderly man in the story smokes a cigar. I mean, nothing really to be concerned about. In the spice category, no true spice. Miles and Eden kiss a few times throughout the story, but nondescript. Gerard, another of the minor antagonists who I didn't really touch on in this review, gets a bit aggressively grippy with Eden while in forced proximity during a dance lesson, but it is unmistakably abusive and absolutely not praised. Hunter is pursued rather forcefully by Vivian Urbane, who makes him clearly uncomfortable and invades his personal space, but again, this is presented as a negative thing and not the ideal for a relationship. For my final recommendation, The Betrayal of Eden was a beautifully done retelling of the Count of Monte Cristo, skillfully weaving together the story of Eden Fortin and Hunter Calder as they navigate the underhanded dealings of the political upper class and the existence of the illegal, mysterious, and dangerous grimoires. I give The Betrayal of Eden 5 stars. From dialogue to plot development, I wasn't disappointed. I would recommend this book to anyone looking for a clean read with a vast world and perfectly crafted characters. If this sounds like something you would like to read, I've linked the book on Amazon and the author's Instagram in the comments. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, and comment, and I hope you enjoyed The Betrayal of Eden.